Welcome back to the archive. I am Diotrephes. When we examine the three great alliances of the Second Era, we often see them wrapped in grand ideologies. The Dominion fights for divine supremacy. The Pact fights for desperate survival. But the Daggerfall Covenant is entirely different. It is not an alliance forged by the gods, nor by absolute necessity. It is an empire built on ink, commerce, and gold, calculated cognitive dissonance. Today, we open the ledgers on High King Emeric and explore how a merchant prince forced three sworn enemies into a marriage of pure pragmatism. The scrolls are open. Let us begin. To understand the Covenant, we must first understand the man who built it, Emeric of Cumberland. Before he was a High King, Emeric was a merchant. He viewed Tamriel not through the lens of divine right, but through supply, demand, and risk. In the year Second Era 541, that risk arrived at his doorstep. A massive horde of reachmen, led by the Longhouse Emperor Dorkorak the Black Drake, swept into High Rock, burning everything in their path and laying siege to Wayrest. It was Emeric who broke the siege, slaying the Black Drake. In the aftermath, the Breton kingdoms realized their isolation was a fatal liability. They signed the First Daggerfall Covenant, a strictly Breton treaty of mutual defense. But a defensive pact is not an empire. The true test of Emeric's pragmatism came in Second Era 566, and it was born from a bruised ego. King Ranser of Shornhelm expected Emeric to marry his daughter, Princess Raelle. Instead, Emeric made a calculated geopolitical move. He married Princess Mariah of Sentinel, securing incredibly lucrative trade routes with the Redguards of Hammerfell. Ranser's reaction was not one of political disappointment, but of profound narcissistic rage. He pulled his diplomats from Wayrest, raised a massive army, and declared war on Emeric, shattering the Breton unity. Ranser's war was a psychological breaking point for the Northwest, proving that aristocratic pride was a threat to peace. As Ranser besieged Wayrest, Emeric's marriage to Mariah paid its first dividend. King Faharajad of Sentinel sent his elite Redguard's forces across the Iliac Bay. From a behavioral standpoint, this is a fascinating shift. For centuries, Bretons and Redguards had slaughtered each other over borders and trade. Yet, faced with the mutual destruction of their economies, Faharajad and Emeric chose profit and stability over generational hatred. The Redguard smashed into Ranser's forces, pushing them back. But Emeric knew a retreat was not a victory. To secure his empire, he needed to completely annihilate Ranser. And to do that, he turned to the Unthinkable. Emeric sent an envoy to Kurog Gro Orsinium, the leaders of the Orcs. The psychological dissonance of this decision cannot be overstated. The Bretons and Redguards had spent the entire First Era systematically burning the Orcish homeland of Orsinium to the ground. They viewed the Orcs as monsters, but Emeric offered Kurog a contract. Attack Ranser from behind, and Emeric would officially recognize Orsinium as a sovereign kingdom and guarantee the Orcs equal standing. Kurog accepted. The Orcs descended from the mountains, utterly destroying Ranser's army. The Greater Daggerfall Covenant was born, not out of friendship, but out of a contract sealed in blood and gold. The Daggerfall Covenant is a masterpiece of political engineering, but it is deeply fragile. It requires its citizens to ignore thousands of years of trauma and prejudice for the sake of a greater good. It is an alliance of pragmatists, merchants, and outcasts trying to impose order on a chaotic world. But as we will see when we examine the individual territories, signing a treaty does not erase the ghost of the past. Join me in the next archive entry as we travel to Strozim-Kai and Betnik to see how isolationists, Redguards, and the resentful orcs truly feel about High King Emeric's grand design.